Hi friends, I'm Todd Bender, the founder and executive director of City Kids. First, I wanted to start by stating the obvious. 2020 was a difficult year for everyone, especially those families and kids of City Kids, those that are living in some of the most vulnerable communities in Hamilton. But before I go on with that, I just want to say how grateful I am for all of your support in 2020. We want you to know also, as supporters of City Kids, those that give financially, those that give of your time and your talents, that we consider you part of our community as well. We pray for you, we think of you often, and I think that's why I'm so grateful today that when I look back on 2020 and consider all the needs that the world was facing, and specifically you as well as supporters, that I'm so grateful for how you responded. Every time we appealed to you for support, whether it was for a new initiative that we were doing, a different way we were responding to the needs of our families, and we brought that to you, our community responded back, and that's what allowed us to be so active and on the front lines throughout 2020. And so I am so grateful for all of your support. You know, when we do think of 2020 and the ongoing pandemic, it has definitely brought heightened needs and challenges for families and kids who are living and experiencing poverty, who are living in some of our most vulnerable communities here in Hamilton. And not only did they have already existing challenges that so many of them were facing each and every day, just trying to deal with what it's like not to have enough resources. When you put a pandemic on top of that, it layers new challenges that many families hadn't experienced before. I think of a particular situation that started at the very beginning of the pandemic. A father who, again, was already dealing with situations in their home and not dealing with enough resources to even get by day to day. And then their oldest daughter was diagnosed with leukemia. So not only did they have to figure out how to navigate the normal challenges of living in a community that just didn't have enough resources, now they had to figure out how to fight for the life of their daughter inside a pandemic. Challenges that for most of us would be huge, but for a family that just doesn't have the same resources as many other people do, it just heightened those types of situations. I think of another parent, actually another father, when we were out visiting in a neighborhood. We were actually down in one of our neighborhoods delivering food to families, a family meal kit. Some of these items you see beside me, we were delivering food to families, and this one father was sitting outside. In fact, there were several families that were waiting for us, anticipating our arrival that day. His 3 children, all under the age of 7, were all squished together on the doorstep in the backyard. And as we pulled up with our wagon and our meal kits, ready to deliver some food and fun for the kids, we had this great conversation. It was really clear to see just how much hope that family meal kit and that small exchange, all socially distanced, how much that meant to our families. I really wish, as supporters, you could see some of this firsthand so you could see just how much impact your giving had in 2020. You know, as we pulled away from that house and I began to learn more about the story of that family, I found out that his wife, the kid's mom, that she had been struggling with deep depression since the pandemic began. She had tried to take her life several times and she had been hospitalized. And so when I thought back to the exchange I just had, I recognized just how brave and courageous that dad was, trying to raise his 3 kids, trying to feed his family, and trying to take care of his wife as well. And then I think of the story that I heard not that long ago by one of our staff who was making a weekly phone visit to one of our families. The mom was sharing with our staff person just how frustrated and challenging it was to try to educate her child at home. Part of that had to do with technology. It's been difficult for a lot of our families to be able to access the online learning and to have the internet access that they need. But this mom was just being challenged because she said all she wanted to do was to get some paper for her child so her child could learn on paper. But she couldn't actually afford to have paper for her child or access it. These simple things that seem so simple for many of us proved to be immense challenges for so many of our kids and families in our Hamilton community. But I'm able to tell you these stories today because you've allowed us to be out there. Your support provided us opportunity to be in these stories, to be able to connect with these families. So not only did we hear these stories, we were able to design a response for them. We were able to walk with these families through the challenges that they were experiencing. Your giving in 2020 helped us to do that. You know, when I think back to 2020, as soon as the pandemic hit us, we were just about to start our new season. We had to cancel a lot of our indoor programs where we would put kids on buses and bring them into our studio. And instead, our team adapted and we took a look at what it was that we could do within the restrictions. One of the things at City Kids that's been always so important to us is that we continue We continue to listen to the needs of our families and connect with them as often as possible. And as 2020 moved along, we continue to design new responses that we brought to you, and you responded to us through your giving. Things like our pop-up programming, where our staff were able to go and socially distance, but be able to do activities and magic tricks and things like that right at the door to instill truths and to build values into the lives of our kids and to inspire them not to give up on their dreams. We were able to do things like our family meal kits and deliver birthdays presents to our kids right at their doors. We were able with our youth to go online and be able to connect through Zoom so they could connect with their peers and talk about some of the challenges that they were having. They could also connect with their mentors and be encouraged as well. Whatever we could think of doing to connect us with families, to bring faith, hope, and love right to the doors, that's what we were busy doing in 2020, and that's what you allowed us to do through your support and through your giving. You know, when we look back on 2020, it wasn't the year that we expected. It wasn't the year we had hoped for. But we didn't spend much time regretting or talking about things we couldn't do. We spent our time focused on the things that we could do. Our job was to deliver on as much hope and as much impact as we could to our families. And again, because of your support, we were able to do that. When we look ahead now, we know that the pandemic is going to be with us for some time, but there is light at the end of the tunnel. We know hope is coming. And we know there's going to be a time after the pandemic when we're going to be able to put kids back on buses, bring children back into our facility, and experiencing things in large group gatherings again, bringing that joy and hope that comes with that. We know that's coming. But until then, we want you to know that we are committed to being there for every child and every family in our vulnerable communities here in Hamilton. We're going to continue to do what we can to meet needs. And we're so grateful that you trust us, that you continue to commit your resources to us. And I want you to know also how grateful we are as a staff, how grateful our kids and families are as well too. They know that there's people in their community that care about them. And most importantly, our kids and families know that they're not alone in this. Friends, know that our thoughts and prayers are with you as you continue to navigate through the pandemic. And know that we're looking forward to the day in the future when we're going to be able to put kids back on buses and gather back with them. But again, until such time, we're going to continue to be out on the front lines meeting needs. Thank you so much for your support. Thank you for your giving. Thank you for your trust. And God bless.